You ever get a letter that feels so perfectly timed it's almost like the universe is playing a prank on you? Because 17 minutes after the power company blasted out an alert warning us about rolling blackouts before the next winter storm, my HOA decided to ban generators. I was standing in my living room in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, holding this stiff, official-looking envelope from the Meadowbrook Heights Community Association, and I swear my blood ran cold. The world's about to freeze over, and now my own neighborhood wants to turn off my lifeline. That was the moment I knew I was in for one hell of a ride. I'm Brandon Kelly, been living in this peaceful little patch of suburbia for 3 years now. I work from home consulting on software projects, so yeah, having steady power isn't just about Netflix or keeping my coffee hot, it's literally my paycheck. Nobody told me when I bought my house on Willow Creek Drive that the HOA could just ban common sense. Actually, the guy who sold me this place had a generator in his garage, said it saved his bacon more than once. I followed suit, bought myself a nice one after a summer storm wiped out power for 4 days. Thought I was being smart. But now here's this letter from Deborah Hutchinson, HOA president, written in that tone people get when a tiny bit of authority goes straight to their heads. The rule effective immediately. No generators, period. Citing noise, property values, aesthetic concerns, the usual HOA bingo. Fines started at $200 a day and escalated to legal action if necessary. I must have read it 3 times, heart-thumping louder each round. And of course, the weather report was showing a monster storm barreling toward Iowa in 5 days. Outages here aren't if they're when. Yet Deborah and her merry band of clipboard warriors thought now was the perfect moment to flex. I called Marcus, my neighbor, 2 houses down. Didn't even get a hello. Just, "You got the letter too." He's already stressed. Turns out his wife relies on a home medical device that needs power. He'd called Deborah right away. Got told, "Rule applies to everyone, no exceptions. Buy a battery, go to a hotel." You ever try booking a hotel for days with kids and medical equipment right before a blizzard? Yeah, me neither. But that's not just an inconvenience, that's dangerous. I kept thinking there's no way this is legal. Dug up the HOA bylaws, those glorious pages of legalese nobody reads until they're in trouble. Sure enough, there's a clause about regulating external equipment, but there's also language about reasonable accommodation, emergency preparedness, and requiring 30 days notice for new rules affecting how you use your property. Deborah gave us 0 days. I wrote the board a firm but professional email, pointed out the 30-day notice. The emergency clauses asked them to rescind or at least delay this nonsense until after storm season. Sent it to everyone on the board whose email I could dig up. Next morning, got a response. Short and smug. The board has determined this falls under our emergency authority. The rule stands. No room for discussion, just a threat. The last time we had an outage was back in October, first freeze of the year. I'd run my generator for 6 hours, quiet as a church mouse, and at least 50 feet from the closest neighbor. Only house that might have complained was Deborah's. Her kitchen looks right into my backyard. I remember seeing her standing at the window, arms crossed, glaring at my shed. This was personal. I called Marcus back, told him my theory. He agreed, but what could we do? Fight the fines in court. That'd cost more than my generator, and HOAs can slap a lien on your property if you don't pay up. I spent the afternoon calling lawyers. Most told me the HOA had broad authority. Fighting them would be expensive. And even if I won, it wouldn't help me keep the lights on during the storm. Catch-22. That night, staring at my $3,000 Honda generator, thinking of Marcus and his wife, thinking of my elderly neighbors relying on electric heat, I got mad. Then out of nowhere, a petty little idea crept in. I called my friend Jennifer, a real estate lawyer. "Jen, quick question. If the HOA bans generators on my property, can they stop me running one on the public street?" She laughs. "Nope, HOA rules stop at your property line. Public streets are city turf. See, my house sits on a corner. Side yard faces Willow Creek Drive. Backyard runs along Maple Court. Both public city maintained. If I parked my truck on the street, ran the generator from the bed, and snaked an extension cord to my basement window, well, the HOA could fume all they wanted, but they couldn't touch me." Next day, I got busy. Weatherproof cover for the generator, industrial cords, even tested the setup. Wasn't as tidy, but it worked. Didn't tell anyone but Marcus. Friday night, the storm hit hard. By midnight, we had 8 inches of snow, wind howling like a freight train. Power dropped at 1:15 a.m. I bundled up, dragged my generator to the truck parked right by my house on the public street, fired her up and ran power inside. Lights on, furnace purring, computer humming. Meanwhile, the whole neighborhood was blacked out, including Queen Deborah's place on the hill. Next morning, Deborah herself knocked on my door, red-faced, bundled up, mad as a hornet. "Mr. Kelly, you're violating HOA regulations." I sipped my coffee, warm and calm. "Actually, Deborah, my generator's on city property. Your rule says nothing about public streets. Want to come in? It's toasty." She sputtered, accused me of being deliberately difficult. I told her I was being deliberately warm. If she wanted to change the law, take it up with city council. She stomped away, slipping on my icy walk. It was honestly the best part of my week. Within hours, Marcus showed up, asked for help. Soon 5 neighbors had trucks lined up along the street, all running generators, all perfectly legal. Deborah cruised by, scowling, powerless. The storm lasted 2 more days. Temps never climbed above 10. On Sunday, the HOA's lawyer called threatening hostile environment accusations. I almost laughed. Hostile. I was keeping my family alive. Deborah's rule was the real danger. When power finally came back, the board called a community meeting. 60 people crammed into the clubhouse, all buzzing. Deborah tried to justify the ban. The room wasn't buying it, Margaret. Our 80-year-old neighbor stood up and asked, "Who complained?" "Because I didn't." Dead silence. Marcus called for a vote to remove Deborah as president. My lawyer friend Jennifer, sitting in the back, backed him up. Bylaws allowed for emergency removal. Motion seconded, thirded, and nearly every hand shot up. Deborah was outgone, replaced by Patricia, who immediately suspended the generator rule and refunded fines. If you think that's where it ended, you haven't dealt with a truly petty person. 2 weeks later, my generator was stolen. Not just mine, 3 neighbors lost theirs too. Security cameras caught a masked figure breaking in. Police got involved, took it seriously. 3 weeks later, they recovered our stolen generators at a storage facility, caught on camera clear as day. Deborah Hutchinson, the ex-president herself, loading up stolen property. She got arrested, charged with burglary and theft. When her case went to trial, the evidence was a slam dunk: 4 years in prison, restitution, community service after release. Sitting in court watching her get sentenced, I didn't feel satisfaction so much as disbelief. All this over a generator ban. You'd think the story ends there, but the neighborhood changed. The HOA board rewrote the rules. No more last-minute bans, no more one-person power trips. They actually asked residents what we needed. Neighbors got closer, helped each other during storms, watched out for trouble. The next time the power went out, we all fired up our generators without worry, even shared power with folks who needed it. The board sent out helpful emails, reminders about safety noise, not threats. A few months later, I got a check in the mail, restitution for the stolen generator and even the security upgrades I'd had to buy. Marcus joined the HOA board, set up a website so everyone could see meeting minutes and vote on rule changes. Turns out, power, real power, needs transparency. I even got a letter from Deborah in prison. Short, apologetic, full of regret. I wrote back a line or two, wished her luck. Didn't dwell on it. New families moved in, asked if generators were okay. I said, absolutely. Just be a good neighbor, that's all we ask. We became a normal, boring community, the good kind of boring. Years later, sometimes folks ask if I felt bad about Deborah. Truth is, I don't. She made her choices. She could have accepted being removed from the board, moved on, learned something. Instead, she chose bitterness, revenge, and crime. She faced the consequences. The lesson: stand up for yourself, politely but firmly. Know your rights. Don't let someone's tiny bit of power steamroll your common sense. If you ever face a bully with a clipboard, remember you don't have to let them win. And if you ever wonder whether fighting for what's right is worth it, just look around next time you're warm, safe, and surrounded by neighbors who've got your back. Now let me throw this out to you. Where do you draw the line between rules that keep order and rules that cross into control? Have you ever had to stand up to someone in authority who went too far, or maybe wished you had? Drop your own story, your thoughts, or that one HOA nightmare you'll never forget down in the comments. Let's talk about justice, common sense, and what it really means to be a good neighbor.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.